Yes, we hear you. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I had it on, I think, because I was in a session. Okay.
Okay, you're live.
We are missing Delegate Bartlett, Deb Davis, Mike, you're here, Leslie, Sue. Is Moon on here?
Yeah, we're missing, you said Davis and Bartlett. I'll text them.
Thank you. Okay. We are going to start with Moon's bill because I think this is going to go quickly. I think House Bill 372, drug paraphernalia for decrim. So, and I just want to start off by saying this is our last public safety meeting before crossover. So I'll say that if we don't get a bill out today and I've allotted an hour, then it's not going to happen. So we need to make this happen. And Griffith, I know you might have to jet at some point, I know. So, okay, so I will open it up for discussion on House Bill 372. And I see if anyone has any specific questions, you can ask them to Ann Seacott is here on that bill. And Delegate Moon is here. Moon, do you just want to say something about your bill really quickly? And
Sure. I can just explain what it does. And you should all know too that this is not the first year for the bill. And so, you know, the state's attorneys last year had basically said, let's find something we can do with the bill. I'm sure they don't like it still this year, but we actually did sit down in good faith with the bill and try to work it down to something that is reasonable and consistent with other parts of the law. So the bill, as you recall from the testimony, was intended to get at one clear issue, which is that the criminal code treats syringes and paraphernalia from drug users in the same category as paraphernalia for drug manufacturers, drug producers, and drug dealers. So we have been trying over the years to separate the penalty structure for drug users and abusers to be different from that of the sort of dealers and people on the production side. So if you go through the text of the bill, you'll see all of the penalties, and some of them are as high as 4 years in jail, which is more than the actual drugs themselves in some instances. That we take, it says, you know, some of the penalties apply to manufacture, administer, distribute, dispense, and all of those are drug dealer words except for administer. So for example, and so we just went through the code and took out the words that are about drug users so that the penalties that remain appropriately apply to drug dealers.
Yeah,
if you think we got it wrong and we picked the wrong words, we can talk about it, but
McComas, mute yourself.
Okay, all right, thank you.
McComas, mute, thanks.
So if you think we struck the wrong words or we didn't catch them all, I guess we could talk about it. But I think we did this fairly to really get at the ethos I just said. And just to bring you back to the reason for it, a large number of police officers report being pricked by syringes. And so there's a constant worry of infection. And not only that, we're now having a big problem of people being scared to get caught with them, so they start ditching them in dangerous places and leaving the risk that people unexpectedly or even maintenance workers encounter the dirty needles. So that's the core of the bill. We have taken the syringes out. We have tried to make that consistent in a couple other places in the law. So just so you understand, there's a 4-year penalty on controlled paraphernalia. and that's for the highest penalty. There's another 1 year on sort of normal paraphernalia. And then there's marijuana paraphernalia. So it's a little bit confusing. But again, I have tried to go through in all cases and remove words that refer to users instead of dealers. Now that I've explained that part, I want to be clear on the other question you're going to have. Does this just let these people go if we don't get them on the syringes? No. You can always get them on the drugs themselves. So there's that. And so and if they're dealing, you can get them on the dealing. So all this is doing is clearly marking out that solely on the purpose of possessing the paraphernalia, we're not going to nail you on a criminal offense. And the reason for that is so that we can clearly put out public education to say, stop ditching your needles in the streets, stop hiding it from the police. That's not something, that aspect of it is not something you have to be worried about. So happy to answer any questions, but that's what the bill does.
Quick question, Moon. Has the Senate taken any action on this?
I do not believe so.
Okay, Delegate Griffith and then Delegate Shetty.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And a quick question, and again, please forgive me because we're dealing with so many bills right now. I'll make sure I'm not conflating them. This is the one that would allow a police officer to give a citation in lieu of a arrest.
No.
Different bill. Okay.
Yeah, that's a totally different bill.
Okay, that's why I'm glad I asked.
This simply would remove certain drug paraphernalia. It would take them out of current jailable penalties. And again, the intent of it is to get to this whole problem that we're having with syringes.
So and I think I'm in the bill hearing last year, I think I mentioned this in the bill hearing this year, would law enforcement still be able to use a syringe with a substance in it as probable cause?
I mean, unfortunately, I think the answer is yes. So this is why I say, like, look, the police are, and even the residue, arguably you could get them. I had a bill that was de minimis decriminalization for exactly that reason. I don't see that bill moving. So I am now really just focused on the plain problem about the syringes. If an officer wants to arrest and otherwise charge that individual, I think they're going to have ample opportunity to do so. But we're really trying to get them away from using the syringes. We want to be able to tell people plain as day, don't worry about the syringes. Just don't worry about them. Don't ditch them. Don't hide them from police. Don't leave them at the place you shut up. Don't drop them in parks. I mean, that's what's happening now. So that's why we try to put harm reduction up front on this. It's consistent with other things we did, might have been before you got here, but things like 911 calls for someone who's ODing not being something that's going to lead to criminal prosecution. And we had the same exact conversation. Isn't this going to be seen as somehow condoning it? But we're having the overdoses now anyway. And we're having the dirty needles being shared, and we're having the dirty needles being dumped and hidden from cops. And so we're not getting any of the benefits of the message being sent, by keeping these criminal offenses. It's just not happening. So now we just want to do something different that just acknowledges what's going on and tries a different approach.
And I will say, sorry. Go ahead.
And just one last follow-up. And again, and this is one of those bills that's really tough for me because I agree with all your sentiments. I agree with you. I can't push back on that. And again, it's not the why, it's the what that I can't get past. And I appreciate the fact that, they can still be used as probable cause. I know that was one of the rubs in the bill last year, and now we identify it still can be. And again, this just gives the police officer the option, right? They're not compelled to, correct? This is
mainly because, I guess if it was a completely new syringe, the officer might have some trouble absent anything else taking further action. But if it's a dirty needle, the officer might be able to do something. But again, we're trying to get that, but it would be on the drugs, not on
Right.
the syringe. See, that's
Right.
and that's the key. The public education then changes for how we can talk about it. And I think it's an important change, even though I get it's difficult and you have to take an extra minute to explain this to constituents if asked. But I think when explained, many people will come along.
And just to clarify, just like the previous bill we heard, this is a may, not a shall, right? They may write a citation. They're not compelled to write a citation. Is that correct?
Well, that part is a different bill. The citation, the may charges citations. I don't remember if we passed that.
No, I'm saying, but for this one, I'm just trying to get clarification. A police officer, does
drug paraphernalia qualify as the type of offense that would be chargeable by citation under that bill? I think that's the question, and I don't actually know the answer to that.
Okay, no, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I can't remember what we covered in the other bill.
I'm sorry for taking so much time. Thank you.
Delegate Shetty, then Delegate McComas. And Missy Cutt said Jason is voting on it today.
I just want to quickly thank the bill sponsor for his work on this really important public health and public safety bill. I think it's a really important measure. I look forward to voting in support of it, and I would love to move the question or move the bill.
Second.
Okay, I'm going to let Delegate McComas say something, guys.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would just ask, I have a couple of questions for Delegate Moon. Has this bill been amended at all as it came in? No.
I don't think so. That's what I mean. The bill is different from last year.
Right.
And so the amendments were really us trying to sit down and get this thing ready to roll so that if it popped out,
right. Well,
like it is,
thank you, sir. Okay, let me ask this other question. It's my understanding, because I looked it up, Scott Schellenberger and the Maryland state's attorneys are opposed to the bill. He provided oral testimony, so we'd have to go back and listen to that. But the Maryland Chiefs of Police Association and the Maryland Sheriffs oppose it. So it hasn't been amended, and there's not a word about needles or syringes in their opposition. Let me just read this. Maryland Chiefs of Police Association and Maryland Sheriffs oppose 372. This bill would decriminalize the use of possession of drug paraphernalia for all other drugs other than marijuana. These drugs would include dangerous street level, in parentheses, user amount doses of heroin, fentanyl, cocaine, methamphetamine, LSD, and others. They're very concerned that the bill creates potential for an escalation in a continuing rising opiate overdose rates by decriminalizing devices to ingest the substance. That is often a trigger of usage and directly leads to approximately 80,000 overdose deaths reported annually in the U.S. There's not, as I said, you go on, there's not a word about needles or syringes. And I think it's very interesting that no FOPs or anybody came in and said, oh, we're worried about pricking our thumb or our finger. So I'm not voting for this. And that's it.
Madam Chair.
That should not come as a shock.
If I may just clarify one thing also. Folks need to understand the rest of the code, okay? Normal paraphernalia, so all the other drug paraphernalia for all the other drugs, the first offense is a $500 ticket right now. So let's just be clear about that. It's a $500 ticket. On your second offense, a jail penalty kicks in. For the syringes we're talking about, it's 4 years. First offense, 4 years. And it could be a clean syringe. So I'm telling you, the penalties are completely out of whack. And so the fear of someone with a drug addiction problem who's walking around with clean or dirty needles, it's real. It's a 4-year offense. And so they're not wrong to throw these things onto the streets and playgrounds. I'm sorry, like you got to work with us here.
Okay, Delegate Erican.
So interesting. So you can get in trouble for a clean, like I have a lot of syringes in my house because I have farm animals. So am I committing some kind of crime? Can you explain how a clean needle?
I mean, there's specific rules on controlled paraphernalia in the code. So it would have depended how you got it. For example, like fraudulently obtaining a syringe. you might have someone with a drug addiction problem. And in the old days, the concept would have been, well, we're going to make it a criminal offense if you go to the pharmacy and claim you have diabetes to get needles that you're actually using for heroin. And so hence now we have the dirty needle problem and people spreading disease because it's not so easy to just go get a clean needle. Now, there are other ways we've tried to get at this through the law, but it's not perfect because there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of stigma. Most of these programs are voluntary. And so people are still going black market, sharing needles, doing all sorts of things to obtain them. And a lot of that is because we've put a 4-year penalty, not just on the possession, but the attempts to obtain the syringes also can't come with that same penalty. So the law here is very, very backwards, and it's very against modern thinking on it. And it's because we've gotten so scared. People are scared to vote for anything that sounds like it's dealing with heroin people, right? I mean, it's precisely why people feel the need to qualify what they're doing. But again, I think this problem has come to every corner of our state now, that I think we can have a grown-up conversation about what's going on and take realistic steps. I mean, that's what this bill is.
Yeah, and I'm confused why they could just roll up to a Tractor Supply. That's where I get mine. I mean, I buy like 50, 60, 70 at a time. You know what I mean? They're super cheap.
So in the wrong light, that could land you in jail just for the possession, not even with drugs in the syringes.
Wow. Then that was a theoretical statement I just made.
Okay, I am going to move the bill favorable. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, I'm going to do a roll call. Delegate Atterbury, yes. Delegate Anderson is excused. Delegate Erickham,
No.
Delegate Bartlett,
Yes.
Delegate Deborah Davis,
Yes.
Delegate Griffith.
Yes. Am I not on mute?
No, I hear you. Delegate Deborah Davis is a yes. Delegate Griffith,
No.
Delegate Lopez,
Yes.
Delegate McComas. I'm pretty sure that was
No.
went out. Okay, you were frozen, but you're good. Delegate Moon,
Yes.
Delegate Shetty,
Yes.
and Delegate Sham.
No.
And that passes 6-4. Okay, thank you very much. Next, we are moving on to House Bill 89. And so I have some amendments that were sent to everyone's office. And I know my aide is in the middle of doing something, but when she has a chance, if she could put them on the screen. And in the meantime, I will go over the amendments. And just so everybody knows, I have been communicating with the bill sponsor about the amendments. And I have also been communicating with some other folks that had just concerns about the bill. And I will say that I had some concerns about the bill, which is why I had some amendments drawn up, and my concerns were this. One, that should this pass, that we could have something that is veto proof. If anyone saw what happened to our wonderful Delegate Fisher's bill the other day, it was not. And I do know that there are some folks that support this that might be a little bit more conservative than the Democrats on this committee, and had some concerns. So that was a concern of mine. I also wanted the bill to take into consideration that currently folks who are incarcerated can receive, I'll just call good time credits, currently that can reduce their sentence up to 50%. So that's happening right now. In terms of education, folks who are incarcerated right now for participating in an educational program receive 5 days. So that's happening now as well. And so I had heard some concerns about certain incarcerated individuals, sex offenders, and also violent offenders. So we've been having those conversations the past couple of days. And so I did these amendments. JPR passed a bill last year, and they passed last night. And it is exactly what they passed last year, which some of that is in this bill. So I'll just walk through it. And Claire, if I misspeak, please just interrupt me. And I want to thank our counsel for the committee, Claire Rossmark, for going back and forth with me quite a bit and explaining to me a lot about dim credits and what is happening. So the bill on page 2, I'll start. On line 13, it says that it's amended to say that you cannot receive more than one associate's degree or more than one bachelor's degree. And that's taking into consideration the conversation that was had when we met previously in public safety, and it was brought up that you could stack degrees and receive more than one associate degree. So this takes care of the quote unquote, the stacking issue. In line, I'm sorry, that's line 13 and 14. If you move to line 15, the bill came in as 90 days and that you could receive for each program. This takes it to 40 days. Taking into consideration 90 days is essentially 18 months, I believe it came out to, off your sentence, when you can already receive 50% off your sentence. And then if you move down further to subsection B2, it says if you're serving for a crime of violence, then you would get half of that. So you would get 20 days per degree or program that you complete. I will say JPR did, I believe, 60 days and then 40 days. So they separated it out as well. And I also want to say, in terms of a crime of violence, because of a lot of people contacted me and expressed concern about repeat offenders, and this is where I might need Claire to jump in. So currently, there are already mandatory minimums for repeat offenders. So there's no need to incorporate an amendment in the bill related to repeat offenders, like repeat offenders cannot participate in the program because there's already language in the law. If you come in just a second time as a repeat offender and then a third time, that there are mandatory times that you have to spend. So in my opinion, we don't need to put language specifically about repeat offenders for those who are concerned about that in the bill. And then further in subsection B3, it takes out individuals who have committed a sexual offense, cannot participate in this, which is JPR, that matches what they did. And that is the majority of the amendments that I'm proposing. So I would move my amendments on the bill.
Yeah.
Thank you. Delegate Moon, I saw you first, and then Delegate Shetty.
Well, this is sort of a funny position since this is my teammate's bill and my senator has moved it. So I feel I should ask, is there a reason not to make them the same?
Well, so last year we passed it out, well, differently than they did, but we never got to the point of conference committee. But the reason to not make it the same, I'll say in terms of the stacking, I don't think that JPR even considered that. That was a new issue for this committee this year as well. So.
And by stacking, you mean like I get multiple degrees, or I take
Correct.
the same degree program multiple times?
That you get multiple associate degrees. And so you're earning, multiple associate degrees and taking advantage that way of getting, the days off because you can earn multiple degrees. I mean, you can move, you can get a high school diploma, associate degree, bachelor degree, graduate degree, but you can't get multiple.
Sorry, can you just repeat to me what the key difference is with what the Senate wanted on this?
Yeah, so the Senate does not have what I'm calling stacking in their bill. And there are people outside yelling. Is there the protest going on? Okay. So they don't have the stacking, which is identified on page 2, lines 13 and 14. And then the days that you can earn is different. So this says 40, and then you can earn 20 days per program if you're a violent offender. They said, I believe 60 and 40. I'm checking right now, but I'm pretty sure it's 60 and 40.
And sorry, when you say they don't have stacking, you mean they do not allow you to take multiple degrees in the Senate?
Their bill does not address that issue.
It's silent on it.
Correct.
And our bill is not silent on that?
This amendment says you cannot earn more.
You cannot stack them. You cannot stack past whatever amount is the max. Okay. Okay.
Delegate Shetty, and then Delegate Griffith.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for all of your work on this. I understand the sensitive nature of the interests of multiple people, so I don't want to upset the balance too much, but I would, just building off Delegate Moon's comments, I would agree with, at least on the number of days allotted, matching at minimum what the Senate did, so that we have like one less thing to conference about if the language matched. I think that there would likely be enough support, but you've been more in depth on negotiations on these provisions, so I defer to you. But I would just say that I would personally support at least doing what the Senate did on that provision.
Okay. Delegate Griffith.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I know when we last discussed this bill, you know, we had a lot of conversations around some of these issues. And this might be a surprise to some folks, but well, let me backtrack a little bit. When we discussed this bill before, I mentioned, and I stand by that, I support the ammunition credits. I think that the purpose of our criminal justice system is to rehabilitate folks and give them a fighting chance to re-enter society after they've served their time. And with these amendments, I think this bill strikes a much better balance than the original version. And to be very frank, with these amendments, I actually plan to support it.
Thank you, Delegate Griffith. Delegate Lopez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And again, thank you again for all of the work that you've put into meticulously going through this bill and making it the strongest version. I want to add my support to some things that Delegates Moon and Shetty have brought up about keeping the numbers consistent with the Senate and going to the, I think it's like, what was it, 40-60? I think it's just one less thing to work out in conference, and to me the numbers sound like they're fair. So I would support changing those numbers.
Thank you, Delegate Davis, and then Delegate Sham.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. I echo the sentiments of the other delegates regarding matching the JPR's recommendations or the JPR's bill. And I agree with your hard work on the not stacking. I don't think that's a problem, but those numbers, I think if we're looking for something that's veto proof, I think Mike Griffith has pretty much told us that we could go along with those numbers and it could work.
Thank you, Delegate Sham.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Committee. So on page 2, line 15 and 16, we're going from 90 days to 40 days. Is that for each program? And just for sake of clarity, if you earn a high school diploma and an associate's degree and a bachelor's degree, is that stacking? Or it's
No.
stacking 2 associate's degrees?
Right,
Okay.
right. So you could get 40 for a high school diploma, 40 for an associate's degree, 40 for a bachelor's degree, 40 for a vocational program, and 40 for a high academic certificate, which I have no idea what that means. So that's 200 days, which is, who's a math genius? It's 200 days. Moon, is your hand still up or? Okay. Okay, any other discussion? Claire, can I ask you a question? Are you there?
Yes.
Thank you. So for my question is about the hours. So can you tell us right now, before like passage of this bill, what someone could earn in terms of hours to reduce their sentence? And then how
What
many,
do you mean by hours?
I mean, I'm not hours, days.
Oh, for education, they
Yeah.
earn 5 days a
Okay.
month. And do you want to know all the different categories?
Yes.
Okay, so for just for good behavior, if you're not serving a sentence for a crime of violence, you can get up to 10 days. If you are serving a sentence for a crime of violence or drug kingpin or volume dealer, you can only get 5 days a month of good behavior. For work tasks, you can get up to 5 days. And then special projects, you can get up to 20 days a month. And the totals that you can get per month are 30 days for somebody who's not serving a sentence for a crime of violence and up to 20 days for somebody who is serving a sentence for a crime of violence.
Okay. All right. So we can get this out of here. I'm going to go on record saying I do not agree with this, but I will change it so that this bill could pass. The Senate did 60-40. So Claire, if we could amend the days to 60 in B1 and 40 in B2.
Okay.
Okay, so I withdraw my other amendment. Can I get a second on this amendment?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion before I? Okie dokie. Delegate Atterbury, yes. Delegate Anderson is excused. Delegate Erican
This is on the amendment, right?
with the yes, with the day changes that we just did, but
Okay, yes.
Delegate Bartlett. I'll circle back to Delegate Bartlett. Delegate Deborah Davis.
Yes.
Delegate Griffith.
Yes.
Delegate Lopez.
Yes.
Delegate McComas.
Clarification, is this on the amendment or on the bill?
The amendment.
Yes.
Delegate Moon.
Yes.
Delegate Shetty.
Yes.
Delegate Sham.
Yes.
Okay, so now I will do a roll call on the bill. I guess I could have just did a show of hands. Sorry. Okay, on the bill as amended. Delegate Atterbury, yes. Delegate Anderson's excused. Delegate Erican.
No,
Delegate Bartlett. Delegate Deborah Davis.
Yes.
Delegate Griffith.
Yes.
Delegate Lopez.
Yes.
Delegate McComas,
No.
Delegate Moon,
Yes.
Delegate Shetty,
Yes.
Delegate Sham.
Yes.
Okay. 7 passes 7-2. Okay, thank you, everyone. This is our last meeting before, I don't know, sometime after crossover. Thank you, everyone, for all your work. We've been a busy subcommittee, so I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for your leadership, Madam Vice Chair.
Thank you. Okay, guys, enjoy our little break. Bye.